Welcome back to Gathering Grants Gaming, and in this video we're going to talk about elevated terrain. I'll catch you after this. I suppose the first thing I really want to talk about is what do I mean when I say elevated terrain, and why is it so important in wargaming, RPGs? So I suppose the first thing, elevated terrain, is anything that obvious, anything that lifts your miniature up off like just the flat surface. So like stairs, a wall, tower, a hillside, anything that sort of gives a bit of height to your table. And there's multiple reasons why this is really important, but I suppose that the ones I want to cover are, first of all, the most basic one is it just gives a bit of interest to your table. If you're playing like 40k, Lord of the Rings, Age of Sigmar, anything like that, no one likes to just see basically just a flat table, you know, like paths, a couple of trees and whatever. Everyone likes to see just a bit of interest. So, you know, like some taller buildings, some sort of medium-sized buildings, some hillside, you know, all those things just add that little bit of texture and that bit of interest to any table, and actually just makes it funner to play on. Whether you're interacting with it or not. Say some people set up tables and they put sort of like taller terrain around the edges, and then they sort of like flatten it out in the middle, or some people do the opposite and put a big piece of terrain in the middle and actually just flatten it around so you fight around it. Again, you know, that's sort of a way lots of people play. But I suppose there's a couple of more important bits. There's some really good interaction with the rules. So like 40k, the new system on 40k, the new edition of 40k, you've got elevated position in terms of like more AP. So if you're standing on like a ledge and you're shooting down at a crowd of people, you get +1 armor penetration like with that gun. So that's a really important thing to think about and remember when you're sort of positioning some of your terrain. Lord of the Rings, you've got climb tests. Again, elevated positions. It's always good to have like your archers up in buildings, all those sorts of things. Same with bolt action, snipers, you know, it's all really important. And with things like Dungeons and Dragons, if you're a GM like I've been in the past, it's really important to have these interesting pieces, because you want more things for your players to think about. So, you know, there are things like climb tests. You get injured, you take damage if you fall. Same in Lord of the Rings. If you fall, you can die. Your character or your enemies can die. So again, it just creates a bit of either jeopardy or interest and things for your players and for you to think about when you're playing the game. So that's why it's really important. And that's why you sort of see, you know, you'll see lots of ruins with multiple floors. Even if there's a tiny little floor right at the top, enough to put a miniature on, that's a place where you can position an archer, a sniper, anything like that. So that's what I really want to talk about over the next, I'm probably going to do 3 or 4 videos. I'm probably not going to do them back to back. I'm probably going to spread them out, but I'll put them all into a playlist so you can just have a look at some of the terrain that I've been creating when it comes to sort of elevated terrain. So today I want to start with a nice piece of terrain which I've been sort of looking at for a while. So it's really simple. It's going to be a set of steps going up to a platform at the top, but there's also going to be a playability down below as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on the table, start drawing it out, sketching it out, and then we can start. The key factors in this piece is I want there to be steps, obviously, in the middle, running up. I want there to be a platform. I want it to, but I also want it to be playable below. first thing I'm going to do is going to cut the foam for this piece. I'm just eyeballing it based upon the drawing I've done, but I'll work out the sort of finer details sort of as we go along. So I'm going to sort of cut it to the general height and the widths, and then I'm just going to start just placing it on the actual base that I've created. I've done like a 20 by 20, and I'm literally just figuring out where I want some of the windows to go, and then where I want like the stairs sort of positioned on the piece. So I can then start sort of putting the platform and that together. Then I'm going to start with the platform piece to begin with, and then I can start sort of like putting in the windows, figuring out where they're going to be, and start sort of scratching, carving those in. So there we go. I've just figured out the sort of like, this is the basic measurements where the platform will go. There'll be 2 windows in here, and it will sort of go round the corner, and there'll be like an archway there. And I'm just going to start figuring out where the top of the platform will be, so I can get the windows in. I'm going to use shifting lands templates like I normally do, if any of you have seen my other videos. And I'm just going to figure out using one of my miniatures. I think Boromir is the choice for this build, just to get the sizing ready. Always have a miniature, it's always good to have a miniature close by. And I'm literally just going to start just carving that archway out, and by cutting this archway it will literally just give me like some of the spacing for the other pieces, for the brickwork, and then the windows on the other side. I'm literally just going to ruin some of the top of it so you can see that it's fallen away. And then I'm just going to start carving the brickwork in, and that will allow me to figure out where the brickwork's going to be on the wall that meets it. I'm just going to do this, and I'll do this all around the whole piece, but just for placing at the moment. And there you go. It's got the just going to use a pencil. If you've seen this technique before, but I'll just use a temp pencil to spread out some of the grooves in the brickwork. And then I'll move on to the other wall. I'm going to start with the brickwork to begin with, and then I'm going to start. You're going to use a thinner template from Shifting Lands just to create just some thinner windows for this side. Again, just big enough for either like a sniper or an archer just to stand and shoot out. Again, it's just nice to have a bit of variation when it comes to the different sizes of the different windows and doorways. Again, just to give it a bit more interest. Otherwise, it just all becomes a bit samey. I'm just going to carve the outside of the window into it. There you go. I'm just going to ruin it. And there we go. And that'll become the outside, so it all just falls away at one end. Now I'm just going to start putting it together so I can get the sort of general shape now. There you go. Just the outside top level done. There'll be a platform in there. And I'm just going to start measuring where the stairs will go, just so I want the stairs to be, I think it's 40 mil, 4 centimeters wide, just so a miniature can walk up. I've scored in the brickwork, but I'm going to cut some of this away as the stairs go down, which I'll show you as I go. At this point, to save a bit of time, only do the brickwork where you're actually going to see it, because a lot of this is going to be covered with stairs. So save yourself a bit of time by figuring out where the stairs are going to go, and then carve the brickwork around it. And that's what I've done here. I'm actually cutting away what I don't need before I start drawing the brickworks in. Just saves a bit of time when you do lots of brickwork. Now this is my special texturing stone, what my daughter found on the beach. And it's amazing because it's got about 5 stones all in one, and it just gives you some really good texture. If you don't have access to stones like this, you can use any stones from the garden or just tin foil, whichever you've got. I do the same all the way around the building. Forgot to do this bit, got a little bit excited and glued it together before it was ready. And just make sure that spacing is right back and front, otherwise you'll end up having crooked stairs. And before I stick the platform in, I'm actually going to carve, again, if you've seen any of my other videos, I'm going to carve like a tile pattern. It's, again, completely random. So just do like 3 or 4 lines down the piece, and then just create like little small like slabs. Go, and I'm going to probably just texture it a bit, cut out a couple of nicks out of each corner, the corner of some of the slabs. So if you're enjoying this content so far, I'd love it if you could maybe like the video, subscribe to my channel if this is the types of videos you'd like to watch, and share it with any friends that you think would also enjoy the video. Other ways to support me, you can follow me on Instagram. I put lots of updates on there. You can, if you like some of the things I'm building but you don't have time to make them yourself, I also have an Etsy shop which goes by the same name, Gathering Grounds Gaming, and I sell some of my pieces on there, and I have a few sort of bits and pieces that I sell just sort of all the time. Everything's handmade, everything's made to order. But if you also want to support me in other ways, you can head across to Patreon. It starts at £3 a month. Again, you get lots of updates. You get behind the scenes videos when I get time to make them, and you get access to the Discord. Any of those ways would be great to support me, but as I say, just being here, sharing, subscribing and liking these videos is really good help. So thanks very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Then I'll run my pencil along just to bring out the grooves, and I'll texture it like I'm doing now. And that just slots in position. There we go. Now I'm gonna just bring the extend the building out, and I'm just going to be able to add some extra walls in so it's playable down below. Now we're going to start on the steps. So we want the stairs to. I'm not going to create stairs that go all the way back because it would be a waste of foam. So I'm just going to create a stack of stairs just where you're going to see them. I'm just test fitting them just to make sure the spacing is correct. And there you go. So if I just take the wall away, you can see I haven't done it all the way to the back. It's got a nice stack of stairs in there. Nicely, I'd say like they're not all the same spacing, so it looks quite realistic, as they wouldn't all be. Don't worry, the gaps here, you can see that I'm going to fill all those afterwards when I actually put the ground covering in, so that will all disappear. And then this bit is the extra platform that takes you across to the archway. So now I wanted it to be playable underneath, so I've just added an extra archway just at the bottom, so the actual pathway goes around from the stairs and through onto the piece. Just again gives it a bit of interest and a bit of playability.
just enough space to get a miniature around. There you go, so you can play on the platform, go through the door if you want, onto another piece. And you can also play underneath. Again, it's just about creating some interest. And I think this sort of does that, it gives you a little place to hide. So now what I'm going to do is to fill in all them gaps, I'm going to use, basically it's just filler mixed with PVA and brown paint. I'm just going to use this on the ground, and I'm going to use it to fill all the gaps, but also just to create a brown surface, so if any of the flock comes off, you're then not presented with MDF. So just go around just methodically filling any gaps. There you go, I've done it on top as well, just to cover the gaps between the foam, and that will get covered up with base ready, so you won't even see that either. And it just gives it a nice effect because it sort of makes it nice and rough rather than the smooth foam effect. So now I've painted it, I've given it an undercoat in dark grey, and I'm now just dry brushing to pick out. I do this 2 layers of this, so this is a mid grey, and I'm just sort of like doing just a dry overbrush of mid grey, and it just catching just all over. And what that will do is that will start to pick out some of the edges and some of the texture that we've created to give it a bit of interest. And there you go, that's what it looks like after that. You can see that it's caught up a lot of the detail on top, but it's kept some nice dark patches as well, so it sort of keeps that look. And then I'm going to go with a really light grey, just going to gently drag it over, just picking out all those edges, just to pick out all the detail. As I say, it's when it's on the table, you'll just be able to see that detail a lot more. And then what I'm going to do before I flock it, I'm going to go around and paint all of the ground surface brown. Like I said, just so it's all nice and brown if any flock comes off, you don't see any of the MDF underneath. Some people do this in green, but I prefer brown because it's sort of like dirt. It's entirely up to you though, it's your preference. So the flocks I'm going to use, so it's a mixture of ground textures. So it's going to basically go from your stone, and everything is going to be from this is all from Geek Gaming. So you've got Forest Path. This is basically very fine stones with little bits of green turf in. That's just going to go like this, the ground cover for the path, and it just gives you some nice colours in there. And then we're going to move on to like an arid earth. So you got your arid earth, which is a lot thicker with bigger stones, and that just gives it a bit more texture. And then on top, I'm going to add some Battle Zone, which is by Jarvis. Really good. Lots of colour in there, little bits of static grass, gives it a really good end effect. And then I'm going to use my green flock, which is a mixture of 4 colours: mid, light, dark, and then like a quite a vibrant green, just to give it sort of make it. So I am sorry, I actually forgot to film the flocking and the stonework. So basically, I did the stones on the piece first, all the way under the arches, finishing it off with the Battle Zone cover to create the colour, and then I added the green flock all the way around the piece, and then I just put some more stones on top of the grass, just to show that it sort of all blends in. And here you can see the finished piece. So you've got the all the flock and the stones running up the middle. It's all sort of blended in really nicely, so it all doesn't look too uniformed. But as I say, the colouring is really nice, and this is the archway. Quite a nice little space to fight over.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. I love those pieces where you can literally sketch it all the way through to completion. And the great thing about pieces like that are you can sort of start to see a bit of a story unfolding, especially when you're doing something like playing it against something like D&D, or doing narrative campaigns on like 40k and stuff like that. You can actually build to the story that you want to set. So you know, you could drop that piece we've just built into like multiple different scenarios. And as you can see as well, the finished piece does create a bit of interest. So, you know, you've got like the platform at the top, you know, firing out the windows, but then you've got like the combat in the archway running down the side of the building. And that's what I try to create in the pieces that I build, is interest, using the mechanics, and actually just having a piece that looks good on the table and can drop into any sort of multiple different systems. So this is going to be one in probably maybe 4, I'm thinking maybe even 5 videos that's going to be scattered over the next sort of like couple of months. I'm going to do a couple more sort of more like fantasy ones with like ruins, but then I've got quite a few people that quite like sci-fi, so I'm thinking I might do a couple of sci-fi buildings, maybe something you can drop into like Necromunda or into 40k. So watch out for those. If you've got any sort of elevated buildings that you'd like to see built, any ideas, just drop them in the comments. That'll be amazing. And as I say, I'm really like open to building things that people want to see built on this channel. So as I say, just let me know what you want, and we'll see if we can make it happen. Like, if you like this, I'd love it if you can subscribe to the channel, watch some of my other videos. I've got some other ruined buildings, which terrain which is similar to this, where I sketch it out all the way through to the build. I've got a couple of really good board builds I've done for things like Kill Team. So there's lots of different variety of videos in here. If you can subscribe, that'd be amazing. If you want to support me a bit more, if you can head over to Patreon and sign up on Patreon, that'd be amazing. But otherwise, love to see you here for the next video. Tell anyone that you think the video would be really, really good for. But otherwise, until the next time, I look forward to seeing you.